Hi everyone, welcome to my vlog. For those of you who are returning, thank you. And for those of you who are here for the first time, thanks for checking it out. In my last blog, I talked about how I will be researching metacognition in the secondary stream. And I just want to let everybody know that metacognition is still really important for elementary teachers and parents who have children who are in elementary. I've come across quite a few articles that have talked about how children can learn about metacognition as early as elementary. So one in particular, Nancy Joseph, she says that the research has indicated that young children are able to use metacognitive strategies such as monitoring and assessing their learning. So even though I may focus on secondary education, metacognition and the information that I'm finding out is really beneficial for everyone. So I left off my last blog with one interpretation of what metacognition is. Beyond the basic thinking of thinking about thinking. Beyond the basic definition of thinking about thinking. So after having read quite a few articles, I've noticed that not everyone has the same definition. They don't define it the same way, they don't break it up the same way. But the characteristics, the themes kind of overlap in between them all. So today I'm just going to talk to you about 3 more interpretations of what metacognition is. So my first one that I've decided to talk about is really old, and it comes from 1998. And I'm trying to stay in between the years of 2000 and 2019 because I don't want it to be too late. But the reason why I chose this one is because it's Canadian. It's looking at Canadian schools, specifically New Brunswick and Labrador, and it's looking at both urban and rural. So my main research is looking at Canadian and rural schools. So that's why I've decided to include it, because it's 2 years off of my little date range. According to Jeffrey Landon and John Stewart, they break metacognition into 2. So the first is knowledge, and the second is process. So knowledge just kind of refers to the various strategies someone would possess and understand when to use those strategies. And process refers to using those strategies and monitoring and regulating oneself, which basically means that you're checking to make sure that the strategies that you've chosen are working for the task. And if not, you're going to want to change those strategies, and you would know to change strategies. The second person who I looked at is Michael Martinez, and he breaks metacognition into 3 parts. So the first part is meta-memory and meta-comprehension. The second is problem solving, and the third is critical thinking. So meta-memory and meta-comprehension basically means accessing your prior knowledge and then assessing whether you've read something makes sense. So if you're reading a paragraph or if you're reading instructions, you're going to read it and then you're going to see, do I actually understand what I've just read? So the second step, which is problem solving, so that basically just means that knowing what to do when you don't understand something, and to check the strategies that you are using are working. And if the strategies aren't working, then you're going to change those strategies. So it's similar to what Jeffrey Landing and John Stewart said about just regulating, monitoring yourself and checking your strategies. And then the third step, which was critical thinking, it's just evaluating your ideas to make sure that they are accurate. And then the third, last but not least, Nancy Joseph, who I talked about before at the beginning of this video, she breaks metacognition into 3 parts, which is plan, regulate, and assess. So from my understanding of Nancy's interpretations, planning basically means you're going to look over what you have to do and think about the approaches that you're going to use. So strategies that you're going to use, right? Then as you use your strategies, you would continuously regulate them to make sure they are right for the task. And if not, you're going to change those strategies. So again, we've talked about that before with Michael Martinez and Jeffrey Landing and I keep forgetting his name, John Stewart. And then finally, at the end, you're going to assess. So you're going to assess whether the strategies you use and what you did in your learning, if it was efficient, right? You're going to check to see, did the strategy you used, were they the most efficient, or could you have done something differently to get a better result? So that's just kind of like the assessing part. You're monitoring how you've learned. So Nancy Joseph, in her article, provides an example of how to get students thinking metacognitively. Sometimes I have a hard time with that sometimes. So she gets students thinking metacognitively by asking students to fill out a self-assessment, which prompts them to reflect on their own learning. So I've taken a picture from her article and I've added it to my blog part. I can read it off for you. So it's a self-assessment questions for students. Number 1, did you understand the directions for the assignment? Number 2, what were you thinking when you worked on the assignment? Number 3, did you feel confident, confused, frustrated? Number 4, did you resolve any difficulties you experienced? And number 5, how would you evaluate your ability to concentrate on the assignment? So these are 3 interpretations of metacognition. As I said, as I was going through them, they all have similar characteristics, using metacognitive strategies and checking to see if they work, and if not, changing those strategies, which is also kind of known as monitoring. As I read more articles, I will be examining other people's interpretation, definition of metacognition, which I'll be sharing with you. I'm hoping to see some more overlapping similarities, in hopes of kind of wrapping my mind around what's the definition of metacognition. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to ask you a question. Who do you think these definitions are written for? So if you think want to comment on that, love to have some other people's interpretations of it. So feel free to comment and let me know what you think. So thanks for checking out my vlog today. I'll be uploading another vlog very shortly about an amazing opportunity that I was fortunate enough to attend this past weekend, and I'll be sharing that with you very soon. So thanks again for joining me, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.